You are now listening to the most talked about blog talk radio station in the universe. Walk in His Ways, Impact Voice Radio. Be prepared to have your mind stimulated, your spirit elevated in ways you couldn't even imagine. Introducing your host and the mastermind behind this unforgettable experience, Furman Jackson Jr. You will not be disappointed. Let's go!
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Walking This Way Impact Voice Podcast. I am your host, Furman Jackson Jr., along with the crew again. We are back live once again here on Walking This Way Impact Voice Podcast. We're happy to be back with y'all live once again. Guys, we have a special guest joining us here tonight. He's a financial broker. Did I say that correct?
Financial.
Did I say that correct? Financial. Okay, I'll just make sure I say that correct. We got Rodney on Watson here with us tonight. He's gonna be chiming in with us. Got some Q&A with him, of course. So if you want some, just hit that. So before we get off into that, we got some Q&A. We got some news, we got some entertainment news, we got sports news, financial tips. Before we get started, I'm gonna kick it off with Anna C, the latest financial tips. Go ahead, Anna.
Good evening, everyone. It's Anna C, the spending plan specialist, financial planning at your fingertips. Well, I want to tell y'all, it's been reported after 2 years following his death, Black Panther star Chadwick Boseman's estate has finally been settled, right? So $2.3 million will be split between his now widow and both of his parents. But because Chadwick did not have a will in place, not only did this prolong the dissolution of funds, but probate costs were at allegedly nearly $900,000. It's beyond amazing that he was in a position to leave behind such a significant inheritance to his family. He did his job, and he will forever be respected for that. But there are ways that we can protect our family, our assets from these costly taxes, fees, and expenses. One of them being life insurance. That is the absolute easiest way to transfer wealth tax-free and avoid probate. Number 2 would be to get a will, trust, and things like POAs in order. This way you leave a significant and specific instructions on how you want things to be handled as far as your affairs, asset, and estate. This can avoid and reduce prolonged probate hearings. So my tip to you today would be, if you have assets or something that you want to leave behind, you have the option of writing in a beneficiary. Make sure you utilize that. You want to make sure you put that in place. My next tip would be to sit down with a financial professional. Discuss your wants, your needs, and your desires. It's okay if you have not reached every significant goal in your life just yet. We work to achieve these things. You don't want to become wealthy and just don't have a plan. Let's go ahead and plan for the future we see for ourselves, okay? So create a roadmap, get your finances in order, and allow a professional to assist you in protecting what you've worked so hard to get together, okay? What you worked so hard for to build. A good example of this would be DMX. And this is going to be all hypothetical, of course, you guys. You know, DMX is still going through, his family is still going through probate because his estate has not been finalized, okay? He did not have life insurance or a will in place. Now, here are a few factors that's affecting him and his family. Because he didn't have these things in place to protect his assets, we all are aware that he filed for bankruptcy. He owed approximately $1.7 million in taxes and other debts. When you don't protect your assets in vehicles like this, your creditors can take, as well as probate costs and fees. So anything that's left, he's going to have to finish paying those back debts before his family gets anything left from his properties, his royalties, and things like that, his legacy that he left behind for his family. After those expected debts of 1.7 million, it's estimated that his net worth dwindled down to less than $200,000. And because he did not have someone in charge of his affairs put in place, you now have the family, the ex-wife, the fiance that he didn't get the chance to marry, and all the kids trying to figure out their place. When you create these big families, these empires, and things like this for your family, I want you to have a plan in place for them. Think about what your life is like with them, and if the event you're no longer in the picture, how do you want your family to go on 10, 20, 100, 200 years after you? And if you're not sure what's the right step or the first step you need to take, you need to speak to a professional, a financial coach, professional, or advisor. All right. So that is my financial tip for you today. Protect your assets, protect the things you worked so hard for with easy vehicles that can be set up and established as soon as maybe 20 minutes to an hour sitting down with a professional. It will save you thousands, if not millions.
Awesome stuff, Anna, with the latest financial news and tips and updates here on the podcast. Very great information, great tool that you can utilize to apply to your life to help not just yourself, but your family and, of course, generation as well. And that's very important right now. We know we got a lot of stuff going on in the world. We know we got the inflation going on. And I know we got a financial guru, Mr. Rodney, with us tonight. He's going to be answering all types of questions that you have. Any questions not done, ask questions, get insight, get great information that you can take and apply, learn, and strive with it, because this is your life. This is a life that you should want to live, destined to live. It's up to you. The ball is in your court. Before we go further off into the interview, of course, with Mr. Rodney, our discussion, we got Kenny Primetime. When we know that football season among us, we know the teams are doing an OTA. We know the mandatory mini camps going on. And we know that everybody's excited about football season. You know, I am. I got to represent my Cowboys, of course, me and Kenny as well. So go ahead and take away with the latest sports news for the weekend.
Yes, sir. I thank you very much, Mr. Jackson. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. You are now in the prime zone. I would have some music for you, but we're gonna wait till another season to jump off when we have the music in the background playing, preferably football season. So I'm gonna start off by welcoming everyone that's listening on the sound of my voice. Thank you for tuning in to this podcast on tonight. We want to give shouts out to the city of Dallas, Texas. We want to give shouts out to the Mississippi Gulf Coast, Mobile, Alabama, everyone in the surrounding areas. We appreciate you for tuning in tonight. We're going to give you some sports news tonight, and we hope that it sink in because we got some bangers. We got some people staying. We got some people going. We got a lot of things going on. We got people in trouble with the law in the sports world. So, you know, we're going to get into it. We're going to jump right into it. Kyrie Irving will remain a Brooklyn Net. He decided he is returning to the Nets. He is opting in with his $36.5 million option with the Nets. Hey, me personally, if I want to give my personal opinion about Kyrie, he's an awesome player, a dynamic point guard. I just think for what he did with the Nets, it's a slap in the face with sitting out with the COVID thing, then being injured and missing half the season. I would have moved on with Kyrie, but in any way, he decided to stay with the Nets, and they accepted him with open arms. So big ups to Kyrie on that, and we're going to look forward to the upcoming season. Meanwhile, somebody else is staying. Russell Westbrook plans to pick up the $47.1 million option to remain a Los Angeles Laker. I think that's a very good thing, too, because I think he had a real terrible season last year, but I think he's going to have a real big bounce back game with new head coach for the Lakers. And they're going to add some pieces around him, not only him, but LeBron. And we're going to see if they hold on to Anthony Davis or not, being that he's injury prone. But I'm glad Russell Westbrook will be signing back with the Lakers. He will be coming back next year with the Lakers. But somebody else is going to get ready to get on and find another home. John Wall is set to join the LA Clippers. He was bought out by the Houston Rockets. He took a $6.5 million less deal to become a free agent to sign with the LA Clippers. So he took less money to become a Clipper, and I think it's going to be a great team with him, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard over in LA. The Clippers is going to be a very good front court addition to the team. So congratulations to John Wall finding a new home in LA. And I also want to give a big shout out to the young guys that's joining the NBA from the NBA draft results. Round one, I may not say his name correctly, but it's Pablo Branchero. And he was the first pick in the draft. He's going to Orlando. We have Chet Holmgren. He's going to Oklahoma Thunder. We have Jabari Smith. He's going to the Houston Rockets. And the fifth pick was Keegan Murray. He will be going to the Sacramento Kings. He goes to those first 5 picks in the draft. I saw half of it, and those guys were so excited. Dreams came true. One of the guys, I believe Keegan Murray, was talking about how he slept in a car with his basketball his whole high school career because his mom, they didn't get a job. She didn't get a house or apartment for him until his senior year. And that's pretty tough, man. And we go through that type of adversity and to become on top of the world in the NBA, you're gonna go to Sacramento Kings in California and do a thing. You know what to do when you first get drafted. You go buy your mama a house or buy your mama a car. So congratulations to those guys, and hopefully everything works out for them in the upcoming season. Now let's head on outside the United States and head on over to Russia. Brittany Griner trial set to begin July 1st in Russia. My heart goes out to Brittany so much. This was an unfortunate situation. She's been detained since February, and here it is July, and she's missing the season, and she's missing family, and she's detained for no reason. And I'm not a political person at all, but I do kind of am disappointed at our administration for not bringing her home and having her down there that far. Being what's going on between the Russians and Ukraine, we need to have her home immediately. Whatever President Biden had to do, we need to have her home. So trial set to begin on July 1st, which is Friday, and we hope to get her home as soon as possible. If she is sentenced, she will be facing up to 10 to 22 years in the Russian state prison. So we want to pray and get her home and get her back to her original life. I know her wife is missing her. Her wife hasn't heard from her since she's been detained. So we're going to pray to God that everything be released and everything goes well for Miss Brittany. Meanwhile, in the NFL, Deshaun Watson hearing will resume on Wednesday. Deshaun Watson has been in all type of stuff. He's been accused of so many things. It went from 19 to now it's like 24 accused people. Also, the accusers are suing the Houston Texans, saying that they promoted any wrongdoing that he had did. And I think the young man is a very humble young man. He just signed a big contract with the Cleveland Browns. He's want to start over, want to start a try to recorrect his career before everything just falls down on him. So I think they're really coming down hard on him. But I'm asking and praying that he has a great outcome of his hearing and everything works well for him. Now, before I leave you, ladies and gentlemen, I got one history lesson for everybody out here that's tuning in tonight. The first Black quarterback, Marlon Briscoe, passed away on yesterday at the age of 76. Mr. Briscoe was a legend. A lot of people, even myself included, didn't know a lot about Mr. Briscoe until I did a little research on him. And it really made my heart feel good because he was the first Black NFL quarterback to ever throw the ball. He went through all type of adversity with racism and everything, but you don't hear his name too much. But this is his accolades. He won 2 Super Bowls with the Miami Dolphins. He played receiver and quarterback for the Miami Dolphins the year they went the perfect season in 1972. And also he played quarterback for the Denver Broncos. That's where he ended his career. But he passed away on Monday at the age of 76 around his family for natural causes. But I want to give a good shout out to our community and to him for paving the way for more Black quarterbacks. Not only that, to expand to become Black coaches and Black owners, and also Black players all over the league, not just football, but any sport included. But I was very inspired by that, and I hope you are too. So thank you for that. Now, that's my time, ladies and gentlemen. You've just been in Prime Zone. I'm your host, Kenny Primetime Williams. I enjoy you. I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. God bless you. Back to you, Mr. Furman.
Hey, appreciate you, Kenny. Thank you for the latest sports news and updates as well. Once again, we are live streaming right now on Facebook Live. So we ask everybody to like, share, comment, get those likes up, get those hearts up, get those thumbs up. We love to hear from you. We love to get some feedback. We want y'all to be more involved on tonight's show as we get ready to have our special guest, Mr. Rodney here. He is a financial broker in the state of Alabama, in the city of Mobile, my hometown. He's going to share some knowledge. He's going to share some great information that you can take and apply. At the end of the day, it's up to you. The old saying, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. So I'm very thankful that he put time out his busy schedule to bless us with his presence, with his wealth of knowledge that he has learned to pass on to others who is thirsty for that knowledge. Because with all that getting, let's get a good understanding. Before we get off into that, we got the lady herself, Coach Shay, with the latest entertainment news. So, Coach Shay, what's up with you? Hope you had you a great, fantastic Tuesday. We know it's been hot in our city, but I've been loving the weather with the sun. So, what's been going on with the entertainment world?
Hello, you guys. It's Coach Shay again with our celebrity tea. This just in, y'all. This is hot off the presses. It's mind blowing. I can't believe. Okay, so we got Sister Cora Jakes Roberts. Sister Jakes Coleman. Sister Cora Jakes Coleman. Allegedly, she's getting divorced, and she also is around here stealing people's children, y'all. She around here stealing people's children. This story is so deep. Okay, yes, this story is so deep. So, you would think from the title, y'all, that she divorced her husband because of this child. This is not what happened. He did not cheat on her. A lot of people had a misconception too. He did not cheat. He did not get this baby out of wedlock. And as a matter of fact, it's neither one of their child. Okay? This is neither one of their babies. The Cora Jakes, she has a ministry, just like all the other Jakes. She has a ministry, and she has a ministry that helps women. So she preyed on this young lady in her most vulnerable state, going through postpartum depression, and she recorded the lady. Her name is Michelle Loud, and she recorded her in her most vulnerable state, telling her that this was going to be for the ministry, this was going to help her, and this was a part of her healing, and praying for her. The lady even said she went so far as performing an exorcism on her to try to get the demons out and all this, y'all. And the lady said she ended up using this against her in court and going and adopting her child legally. And because Michelle didn't have the funds to fight, TD Jakes and the husband and her, they all conspired together. They paid the lawyers off. They paid the judges to be quiet. They all legally adopted this woman's child. She has not seen her son since 2018, and he was born in 2014. The husband, she got a divorce because allegedly her husband, Brandon Coleman, had been sexually assaulting children. So this is why, after all this time, Michelle just came out and spoke about it, because she was like, I'm tired of being quiet. Now these allegations have came about her husband. I need to get my child. She has been fighting tooth and nail trying to get her child. She has started speaking out about this. And once she spoke out about this, y'all, another lady came forward and said that Miss Cora Jakes had tried the same thing with her, but she wasn't successful. So this lady goes around praying on people at their weakest moments and takes their children. At this time, the husband was with it because they wanted this ideal family, and Cora cannot have children. So allegedly, the children that she does have are all adopted children that she has taken from other families, that she is saying that they've given to her, but in all actuality, she has took these people's children. These people can't see their kids, and it was mind-blowing and very disheartening to hear, because I love the Jakes. I love the Jakes. The Jakes is right here. They right here in Dallas. So this is hitting home. She said that they invited her to the home in Grand Prairie So this is like going around like right here in our own backyard, y'all, here right in Dallas, Texas. So be mindful. Even people, I mean, even the Bible tells us we have to be mindful of the sheep's and wolf clothing, y'all. We gotta watch out because they is out here. Okay. Also, last week, Drake dropped the album, y'all. Drake dropped the album, Honestly Nevermind. And people went crazy. People did not like the album, y'all. People did not like it. They was like, this is not Drake. This is not what he normally do. But I recall when he dropped in 2017, he dropped an album called More Life. It was very, very similar. Still the Island Vibes. It's the album that has the Portland, Oregon single on it. Also the album that has Fake Love on it. So if y'all want to know, he definitely have always made music like this. Y'all just must have took a break on that 2017-ish. And y'all forgot that he does this. He does his little island feels. We have to remember that Drake is from Canada. And he just does different music, y'all. And I love it. He's lyrically very, very genius. I love it. Shortly after that, as soon as he drops the album, Beyonce releases a single that sounds almost identical to the songs that Drake just did the album. The song Drake had just dropped. So Drake's single is called Falling Apart, and Beyonce's new single is called Break My Soul. I promise y'all, go on YouTube, play one song, pause it, play the other song, these exact same beat. It's crazy, trick me out. They use the exact same sound. I don't know if they got the same manager or what's going on, but everybody decided to do this new island theme sound for the summer. It even transferred over to Diddy. I thought Diddy was in retirement, but he done came back, y'all. So go listen to Diddy's new single. It's all crazy. And that is all I have for y'all today on the Celebrity Tea.
Appreciate you, Coach Shay, with the latest entertainment updates and stuff that's going on in our world, of course. And once again, we thank y'all for welcoming us wherever you may be watching us at, whether you're in your place of employment, your home, wherever you may be watching us at. We do thank y'all for being with us, hanging out with us here on Walking His Ways Impact Voice Podcast. Once again, we are live streaming on Facebook Live, so we ask everybody to share, like, comment, get the hearts up, get those thumbs up, and we love to hear from you as well. Very excited about tonight. We know we're doing a discussion, but also we have our guest tonight, Rodney, with us. He's out of my hometown of Mobile, me and Anna's home, of course, hanging out with us. He's a financial broker in the state of Alabama. He wants to share his wealth and knowledge with those who are tuning in right now. So maybe you can get your answers to get the things you've been looking for. Seeking should find, knocking the door shut open. That's what it's all about. So he's going to share his experience. He's going to share that wealth of knowledge. And like I mentioned earlier, with all that getting, you get a good understanding. So this is what you have to do. And we know that it takes discipline in order to get to that place where you want to be at. Plan, strategize. Even though we're talking about the blueprint, when we look at a blueprint, they have everything mapped out, have everything in place for a house, whatever you're building, but we should have a blueprint for our own personal lives. That's very important to me right now, having a blueprint for your life, not just talking about it, but actually putting your life together, writing things out, putting yourself in the position where you want to be at. That's what we want to be at. So before we get further off into that, we want to welcome Rodney, of course. Rodney, thank you once again, sir. Salute to you as well. Give you your roses while you're here. I know you're passionate about what you're doing. Anna speaks very highly of you as well. The work that you're doing in the state of Alabama, the city of Mobile, and surrounding areas, getting people on the right path when it comes to their finances. We know that people work, don't have anything put away. They work, but then don't have anything to show for it. But I know that you are a man that wants to fix all that, change all that. We have problems, but I can tell that you're a man that has solutions. So once again, welcome to Walking His Ways Impact Voice Podcast. Introduce yourself to the audience. Give us a little background about you, how you got started in the financial world.
Thank you for having me. First of all, I appreciate the opportunity to speak anytime somebody, let somebody else speak on their platform is definitely a privilege. So, but to kind of give a little background on myself, I am a former electrician and Air Force reservist. I did avionics, like communication navigation with the military. I also just so happened to have a finance degree as well. So um, I remember when I was younger, what even got me into finance was I remember when I might have been almost a teenager if I wasn't a teenager. I might have been 11. And I remember being over a friend's house, and the family friend, the mom, was never at work. I stayed over there for like a whole week, and she never went to work. I was like, I don't get that. How do you not have to go to work? I didn't never forget it, but I didn't ask. And then I remember seeing a cousin that every, I don't know, 5 years or so, their house got moved. And there were just certain people that I never asked questions, but I was watching. And as I got older, I realized that all these people that had the life I wanted, that I was watching when I was younger, turned out they were business owners or entrepreneurs in some form or fashion. And I remember I wanted to make a lot of money coming up, but every job I picked or every major I picked in college was all something that paid really high. But I was just like, why do I keep picking these high paying things? Well, my whole plan, even as a 20-year-old, was to make a bunch of money and then end up flipping money in the stock market and real estate. And one day, for some reason, it just dawned on me, why not make your major finance? So that way it didn't matter what career I chose, the education of money was going to be valuable. Didn't matter if I decided to do it as a career or not. But what ended up happening is the further I got in finance, the fewer Black people there were. And I started recognizing I was learning things that my family didn't know, my friends didn't know. And I came from a good family. It was like I came from a middle class family. I've never not had food. I've never not had a place to stay. I didn't have that type of struggle. You see what I'm saying? Like, we didn't have a whole lot, but we were okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they didn't know. So I'm just like, if they're not knowing, and I know my family is doing fairly well, most of them, what happens to everybody else, And the more I started diving into the statistics, I started realizing, Black people have the lowest net worth. We have the lowest financial literacy scores. We spend the most money. And it's kind of like, to be honest with you, I just started realizing it's not white people's fault that we're struggling.
Right, right.
Some people feel some type of way about that. I'm like, that what was done in the past might be the reason why we got there, but the reason we're still there is our own fault. Our lack of knowledge, our lack of intention to gain the knowledge, being prideful, not being able to admit we don't know something or take advice, all type of stuff. But that's kind of how I got started, and it just motivated me to stay in this career field, because I just remember thinking when I was young, I thought the only way I was going to become wealthy was to play a sport. Like, I used to play football, I ran track, and played basketball. I was very athletic. I thought I was going to have to go to the NFL or be like an Olympic sprinter or something. That's the only way I'm going to get wealthy. That's what I really thought. And a lot of Black kids think that. If you talk to some of my friends, they'll tell you, or just any guys, I'm pretty sure you might have thought that at some point. And it just motivated me to be that person that could be the example, be the educator in some way, if I could make as much of a difference as possible. But that's kind of what my motivation was. It still is.
Man, that's awesome. And I respect the man of value, and I respect the man that's about his business. That's the most important thing, being a leader and taking control of your life. And that's what it's all about. And I like what you said, not blaming other race of people, but taking the responsibility for ourselves. The Bible says, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge because they rejected it. And we know that we have knowledge everywhere, but it's what we do with it. I know if you look at the commercials that we see on TV, a lot of us want the latest trends, the latest fashion. We want all this stuff. We don't have anything to show for it at the end of the day. We want to impress people, first of all, who don't care about us at all. But then you struggling, doing a GoFundMe account, you asking people for money, which is nothing wrong with asking people for help, but why be in a position where you take all that money, blow it, and then when something happens, you want to do a GoFundMe account. You want to do a Cash App. You want to do a Zelle and all this other stuff. You want to do all this money to help take care of your responsibility when you could have took care of it the first time. And
Well,
it's very sad.
Deep with that.
Oh, go ahead. Like I said, this is what we hear on the podcast. We love being real. We love being unadulterated. That's what it's all about. It's all about being real and straight to the core. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, just if we're gonna talk about that subject in particular, you know, I think we unfortunately have this thought process, that little crab in the bucket thing, where I've heard people say, now mind you, I have licenses in multiple areas of finance, besides just having a degree. And, you know, I do life insurance for people. And I've unfortunately had people say stuff like, I don't want my family getting rich off of me. Or I don't want nobody benefiting from my death. And I'm just like, that's the absolute wrong mentality. I've even heard people think that getting life insurance is a jinx, like as if they're going to pass away because they got life insurance. And, you know, I've been in my line of work for 7 years now. I've only had like 5 or 6 people pass away so far, but there's over a dozen that have told me no that passed away. So I'm like, the bigger jinx, in my opinion, is not having it for whatever reason. So I'm just like, not having it or getting it does not change when you pass away. And matter of fact, but what it does change is the position your family's going to be in. So, you know, a question that I oftentimes ask people is, if something does happen to you, do you want your family to live the same, better, or worse? If you say worse, me and you ain't got no conversation left. Well, I don't even need to talk to you no more. You ain't my type of person. I don't want to work with you. I don't want to be around you. If you say the same, the only way to do that is life insurance. And if you want better, the only way to do that is through life insurance. Well, the only guaranteed way, because there's multiple ways to do that, which, matter of fact, with that being said, I'll kind of get into the ways generational wealth can be created, the most common ones. And so I'll say this. First most common way to create generational wealth, and not meaning best, but most common, is real estate. So what happens is people will, you know, buy a house, pay for it. As time goes on, it eventually is paid off. Somebody passes away, the family inherits the home. But that doesn't happen in the Black community as much for 2 reasons. One, we don't have the second largest source or most common source of generational wealth, which is retirement accounts / investments. So when we don't have enough retirement money, people have to pull equity from their home to pay for maybe nursing home expenses, maybe healthcare. It could be anything. You know, being old actually is expensive, believe it or not. It's more expensive than being a kid. Like, elderly people are more expensive than children, right? So when they get to that age and they finally can't stop working, or they can't work anymore, and then they have to pull equity from the home, right, because they didn't have retirement accounts, then they pass away and didn't have enough life insurance. So now the most common source of generational wealth doesn't get passed down, because we didn't have the proper investments for retirement to not need to pull equity, and because we didn't have enough life insurance. Now, second most common source of generational wealth, like I said, comes from investments or retirement accounts. We don't do that hardly either. I saw a statistic that said Black and white people average the exact same return. 7% is average, but Black people participate significantly less. So the one place that there has never been any racial bias is the stock market, and we're not touching it out of fear and ignorance. Right now, it's one thing if we're ignorant. We can't really help that all the time, but we can't help it. We stay that way. So if you know you don't know something and you choose to remain that way, that now makes it your fault. All right, it's not your fault if you weren't taught. It is your fault if you didn't make an attempt to learn. Right. So third most common source of generational wealth comes from businesses, which we have had an increase in Black people investing. We've had an increase of Black home ownership, and we've had an increase in Black entrepreneurship, which is great. However, just because you started a business and we have more increased Black entrepreneurship doesn't mean we're doing it right. So the problem with a lot of Black entrepreneurship, well, let me start with what's good. What's good is that, you know how we have, what's it called? Affirmative action, which is basically where they have to hire Black people to fill a void, or minority to fill a void, or whatever. Because if they don't, people won't get hired and all that type of stuff. That is actually a necessary thing. A lot of people don't like it, but when it comes down to it, if you take race out of the picture, let's think people hired through association. Business owners will hire their nephews, their cousins, their family members, their friends, and that's fair. Race out of the picture. That's a fair thing to do. But what happens is if only white people own businesses, then that makes it so we're disadvantaged, because if you're hiring through association, which is fair, we don't get employment, which black people also have the highest unemployment rate. So when we have more black entrepreneurs, we also have more black people getting hired. So it's good that that's happening. But again, how are we doing this wrong? Well, a lot of black people that pursue entrepreneurship, they're really just self-employed. They just wanted to work for themselves because it sounds cool. But if you are like, for real though, so it's just like, unless they're building something that can hire other people, they're not really building a business.
Say that again. I want you to say that again, what you just said.
I don't even know what I said.
Unless they're building something, employ other people, you're doing it wrong.
They're not actually building a business. You're just self-employed. So they're not building something that can hire other people. They're not really building a business. They're just self-employed.
You know what? You just stepped on some toes there, Rodney, with that. Yeah, but that's important. You know what? You're the second person I heard say that. We just say it.
Right. I wasn't even done yet.
But go ahead. I just want you just said, so I hope the people that's listening on Facebook Live.
It's going to get worse too. Because a lot of people think that they're going to create generational wealth through their business, and they're not, because guess what? If it doesn't become something that doesn't need them in their presence, it dies when they die. So you ain't creating generational wealth through that business either. So I'm glad that black people are doing it, but we got to understand, if you aren't going to build a business that doesn't need you, you're not going to create generational wealth with it. You might be able to sell it, hopefully, or whatever, make some money with it and maybe invest it, create generational wealth through that. You know, all that type of stuff is possible. But it's just like, unless it becomes self-sufficient, it dies when you die. Now, what's the foundation of all this? What is the primary thing people need for generational wealth to guarantee it? Is the life insurance. Like, it's the foundation of a financial household. Because think about this, houses take time to pay off, investments take time to grow, businesses take time to build, right? But if you pass prematurely, none of those things happen. You don't get any generational wealth out of any of those things. So when we don't have life insurance, all we're doing is screwing our family. We're not screwing us, because we're not the ones who have to deal with it. So when people are having each generation have to start off at the same spot every single time, that's why our net worth is decreasing. Like, there's multiple articles about this, talking about how we have a decreasing net worth, yet we spend over $1 trillion a year. We're the biggest consumer, but we have a a decreasing net worth. That's backwards. That goes to show you that now you got to think how much $1 trillion a year. You can't even count that high in your lifetime.
Nah.
You spend that much money and have a decreasing net worth, have the lowest net worth, all because of our poor spending habits, which we've been brainwashed to spend poorly. Like, just not to brag or nothing, but I average probably between $10,000 and $20,000 a month, fluctuates in between. And people know I make that type of money, and they're like, "Well, how come you don't buy another car? How come you don't do this and that? How come you?" I'm like, because I'm trying to get rich. I don't care about all this designer crap.
Right.
I don't got not one designer, nothing. I got some nice watches or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I do like watches. But, you know, I'm just like, I'm not putting a priority on spending like that.
Right.
Almost half of my money I make a month gets invested.
Okay, then.
You know, I don't even see it. You see what I'm saying? And what happens is, what people will do is they'll try to save what's left after paying bills, having fun, doing whatever, right? Guess what ends up being left over?
What is it?
Nothing. So they don't save nothing. But when you save first, right, then you make your lifestyle based off of what's left over. You're forcing yourself to save, and you inevitably grow wealth. And like, there's a book called what was it? I've been reading. It was The Richest Man in Babylon. It actually talks about that concept of how if you just save 1/10 of your earnings, right, you'll see how your money start adding up. And it also talks about putting your money to work. So your money makes you more money and it builds more wealth. This book was written like hundreds of years ago, and it's talking about the same thing that we ain't doing right now. But you heard that saying, they say, if you want to hide something from black people, put it in a book. So our choice to remain ignorant, again, is the thing that's holding us back. That lack of intention in educating ourselves or even being willing to take constructive criticism or listen. So, you know, I talked with Anna about this a while back. There are only 2,700 Black people in the entire country that have any form of financial investment licenses or anything. 2,700 in the entire country. Yet, somebody will go listen to their aunt and uncle or their cousin or their mom and dad that are still ignorant because they'll listen to who they like and trust over who's educated, which, don't get me wrong, that's a natural instinct. But your cousin Pookie don't know how investments work, and you over there listening to him because he played in the stock market. Here's what he didn't do. He didn't tell you how he lost. He told you what he made. He didn't tell you what he lost. And because he's not telling you his L's, he's not preventing you from taking those L's either. So you go and follow suit. It's the blind leading the blind, and you go through the same hell he went through that he ain't tell you about. So I'm just like, you need to be consulting professionals like Anna mentioned, because people get messed up with that. I know a dude, and I'm not gonna mention no names. There's this dude that wanted to do some stuff in real estate. He quit his job. He's like, hey man, I'm gonna buy this house. I'm gonna do this, that, and the third. I'm gonna pull this from my 401k. I'm like, bro, don't do that. He was like, man, I'm running through with my wife. I was like, let me do a presentation for your wife. Let me teach y'all this stuff so that you can understand the reward of not doing it and the consequence if you do. He was like, well, I'm gonna talk to her about it. He didn't talk to her about it for real. He might have, but they didn't involve me in it. And I don't know, it might have been a year later. I don't know when it was. But I asked him, I was like, hey, whatever happened with that situation? He was like, man, we pulled it. We did some of the stuff we talked about. I was like, bro, why didn't you involve me? He was like, well, we kind of had an idea of what we wanted to do, and I ran it by her, and this is what she wanted. And it made sense to her. And, you know, I trust her judgment because she know a little bit about money and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, but do she have any professional licenses? Do she got a degree? Where did she go to school for this? She didn't. She just read some junk on Google. And so long story short with that, once I showed him, I did the math. I was like, look, you think you made a great decision. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't bad, but it was. I showed him the math. Because he decided to withdraw that money instead of rolling it over and letting this junk grow like I tried to help him do it, he missed out. He took between $1.5 and $2 million away from his retirement. And I'm just like, that's a $1 million decision you just made, or consequence that he will never see. He can't get it back. He can't come back with 50 grand and say, hey, let me put this back in there. There's a cap on how much you can put in a retirement account each year. So you can't replace that. Once you withdraw, you can't put it back in. It's done. You know, people do that all the time. They'll switch jobs, cash out their 401k. They don't realize what I did it too. I wasn't always knowledgeable like I am now. I didn't always have my license. I didn't have, you know what I'm saying? I'm ignorant too. I was ignorant at a point too, and I still don't know everything. And that's the other thing too, is I'm probably the most financially literate person most people know. And I'm still trying to learn. I'm still asking questions. I'm still seeking counsel from those who have experienced things I don't. And then you got people who are less educated, won't take a hint of advice.
That's true. I mean, that's true. I mean, you gotta humble yourself. You gotta take heed to that pride. That pride is something that'll show you.
That Cole said it. Pride is a devil, ain't it?
That pride. Go ahead, Jay.
I think the older we get, because like he was saying, it's like the older that we get, the more tight money become, the more we learn how to create our own bills, the more, you know, it's like certain things that you know, happen in life. We get kids, we buy cars, like you said, we get car notes, and you know, we do all those things. But I think at the end of the day, talking about money, I know that, you know, you guys in the financial space. So the money conversation is scary for most people. I remember when I got on the phone with Anna and we set my insurance, that was probably like the most uncomfortable situation, but I felt like an adult. I feel like I was really making an adult decision, and I feel like I was really investing in my adult life. It really made me feel like I had leveled up. Really in my insurance.
You did. Yeah.
Doing it, but like being a person that didn't have insurance for a long time, or wasn't listening, like you said, wasn't talking to anybody or asking any questions. having those money conversations be scary, like, because especially like coming from where I come from the hood, the projects, the elements, you know, and money, having those money conversations is crazy. Like,
Yeah,
we don't
and you know what part of that is?
money coming in the house, or our parents don't tell us what, you know, like, they keep that part to
Right, but
themselves.
check this out. I'm gonna tell you where that comes from. What it really comes from our lack of self-esteem and insecurity. And I'm not calling you out, but I'm just saying us in general, because
Right.
it's so uncomfortable, because we're honestly a little ashamed that we don't have it all figured out.
That's true.
And that prevents us from being willing to accept counsel. That prevents us from walking up to somebody like Anna or myself that is educated and saying, hey man, I just don't know. Like, cause I have some people give real resistance, and I'm just like, I already know what the problem is. I'm just like, hey man, let that ego go. I'm not judging you. You know what I'm saying? Everybody don't know this stuff. Like I said, I didn't always know. My parents didn't know everything either. What I learned from my dad was don't get in debt and save your money, which I do that now. I don't get in debt and I save my money. But what he wasn't able to teach me, because he didn't know, was how to invest. You know what I mean? But again, we have to be willing to acknowledge our area of weakness and not feel insecure about it, and just understand everybody has areas of weakness. Everybody has something they're ignorant to. I promise you there's something every single one of y'all know that I don't. There's something. Every one of y'all know something I don't. I just happen to know finance better than most.
Right.
Right? It doesn't make me better than you. It just means I just have this area of strength. So how about we be each other's strength? You feel what I'm saying? How about you help me with something that I'm not so great at? I help you at something you ain't so great at, and we can help each other, and then everybody wins. Why not that?
That's true. And I heard this story a while back. This guy was sharing this story about when he was growing up. And this guy asked this question. He said, who want money? And a lot of hands went in the air. And the guy put out a bunch of change in his pocket. And he threw it on the ground. And only one person moved forward to get the money. They didn't care what it was. Only one person moving forward got it. That ain't what it is.
The only one that wanted the money.
As that everybody raised their hand, but they were not willing to go get it. They didn't care about what nobody think. He didn't care what nobody cared. He just know I wanted money. So he was willing to go get the money. In other words, he was willing to gain whatever he wanted. Whatever he wanted, he was going to get it. He didn't care how it came. He was going to get it. If he had to crawl to get it, he was going to get it. And he didn't care what nobody think. And a lot of people, they raise their hand like, I want money, I want to save. But when you proposition them and challenge them to come get it, not too many people ain't gonna buzz. Why is that?
Right. That's always how you find out something, man. Like my pastor said at church the other day, faith that hasn't been tested can't be trusted. So just because you say something don't mean that that's what you actually mean. We're gonna see when action takes is put to those words. Or that's when true. Something go wrong, do you hold true to what you said? You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna get tested. Some people say they want to get out of debt. All right, well, let me help you set up a debt elimination plan. Well, you know, I'm a little busy right now. Oh, I want to create generational wealth. Let me help you with this life insurance investments. Well, let me think about it. You don't want it for real. That's all it is.
And you know, and because it's gonna take discipline, and we know it takes sacrifice. Everybody wants to live for the weekend. You know, they want to say, you know, the holidays coming up, and I gotta look out for the kids.
Well, let me tell you about that.
All kind of stuff comes in.
Hey, look, check this out. So my birthday is December 24th, right?
Right.
Christmas, for the longest, was my favorite holiday most of my life, because you got the family togetherness, you cook, you got presents and all that type of stuff. Then I got into my line of work. I hate Christmas now. And the reason, I don't really hate it, but I hate it. And I already know what I'm about to say. But the reason why I dislike it so much now is because the more educated I got, I realized, you know, the most evictions happen in January. Why? Because everybody wanted to get Christmas presents. Then when I look at the average spending on Christmas, you guys, if you just took half of what we spend on holidays, every single person in the United States would retire wealthy. If all of them just invested half of what they spend on holidays. And I'm just like, we have no excuse besides our own ignorance. But it's just like, I'll have times where a person don't have life insurance, they don't have investments. They'll be like, well, hey, I got to get these kids presents and stuff. And don't get me wrong, I like Christmas too. I like the togetherness and stuff, but I hate how we get tricked into feeling like you're a bad parent for not doing Christmas presents, but not a bad parent for not having life insurance or protecting your kid's future or investing properly. It's a backwards thinking. You feel me? How is it getting your kid a gift that he's just gonna break? I broke all my toys. Okay.
That's
I
true.
broke all my toys. I would just throw them. I didn't even play with them, right? I just threw them in the air. You know what I'm saying? Half the time, 2 days later, I didn't even play with them no more. But you want to feel like you did something because of the peer pressure of the rest of the world, thinking, well, they ain't get their babies Christmas presents. They bad parents, but they ain't got life insurance. Go on with that. It's backwards. But again, it's a mindset. It's one of those situations where whatever the majority does, you know, people are just going to follow suit into that. What if we got the majority to be more financially literate, make better financial decisions, save, invest, get life insurance? If that became the common thing, now it's part of the culture, and we reverse this decreasing net worth in one generation.
That's true. And I totally agree. And I totally agree with you saying that's important. With the planning, I guess sacrificing in order to get where you want to be. When you're talking to people, and I know you keep it uncensored, unadulterated with them. When it comes to planning,
I can't be like I am right now. I gotta be nice.
Okay, but
I ain't gonna listen.
I was saying this because you send people down, they want to do this stuff. How do you talk to them? Okay, you may have to cut some things off for a while. You may have to let some things go for a while. Do you have conversations like that when people come to your office or wherever you meet them at to just give them the truth? Because that's what we want. I mean, you got to tell people the truth. A lot of people just want to lie to them, pat them on the back, and say it's all good when it ain't good.
Yeah, there's a way I have to go about it, because when people feel some type of way negatively towards you, they'll hurt themselves to spite you. So I have to be careful in how I say things and how I, convey it, or whatever the case might be. I got to be a little softer, patient with people, and make them feel comfortable with me, because otherwise they listen, like I said, they'll hurt themselves. They think they hurt me by not giving me their business, but really they're costing themselves $1 million in their future. But they don't know no better. They don't know that. So how I will approach it is, first I just, build a little bit of relationship, show them, hey, I'm just like them. I coach youth football. I played sports in high school. I used to be an electrician. I ain't much different than most people. I just make different decisions. You know what I mean? I just know some stuff that some folks don't. So I just kind of show them, hey, we're not much different, but I also express to them, it's okay to admit you don't know something, and I'm not trying to act like I'm better than you. You feel what I'm saying? And sometimes they're receptive, and sometimes it don't matter what I say, because some people are a little insecure. But if I can get them in that realm where they'll be receptive, what I just have to do is, like I said, I teach them, but I also have to help them realize the value and the reward of doing this, which is, what position would you want your family to be in? How great would it have been had your parents made this type of decision? Wouldn't you have loved that your grandparents left you a lump sum of money, or that they would have set up an investment for you? How different would your life be? Get them envisioning the positive, but also recognizing what is the consequences if you don't. There's a reward for doing this. There's a consequence for not doing it. And I like to show sources and facts outside of myself, so folks know I'm not lying. Because if I say something, they'll be like, he's just saying that. But when I can show them documentation and proof, then they'll believe it. And then sometimes I'll kind of ask questions to help lead them to the answer, so they can come to the conclusion on themselves. Because if they say it, it's right. If I say it, I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? Right. They have to come to that conclusion. So I have to be a real good educator. I have to be real good at being patient with people and helping them feel comfortable with enough to be honest with me too, because folks will lie to me too. And the thing is, how somebody will go to the doctor. You can't lie to if you want to lie to the doctor, you might get diagnosed with some junk that was wrong, or that you get the wrong medication. You gonna hurt yourself lying to the doctor. You get a lawyer, you get in some legal situation, and you ain't tell your lawyer all the truth, so they can't defend you properly. So now you go to jail because you ain't tell your lawyer the truth. The same thing happens with your financial advisor. Now, you don't tell me the truth. I can't give you as accurate or the best advice possible for you. But again, I do also understand that some trust has to be built. So I try to be very transparent in who I am, what my intentions are, where I've come from, where I'm trying to go, all that type of stuff. Because if people just need to, of course, money is a sensitive situation, but I just really try to emphasize my goal. And I don't care what color you are. My goal is to create generational wealth. But I got into this specifically so I could change the Black community. But I help everybody. I got friends that are white that are clients. I got Asian clients. I got any ethnicity you can name that I haven't done some business for. But my heart is, I gotta get us better. And one way I do that, besides just investments, insurance, mortgages, whatever that stuff is, I mentor and train people in the area of finance. I help, like me training my agent, any of my agents, transferring my knowledge into them, transferring my skills into them, makes it so now my impact is larger. Because let's say in my lifetime, I can only help 10,000 people my entire lifetime. No matter how hard I work, that's the max I get. But if I train and develop other people and give them my game, give them my knowledge, my skills, and then they go help people, and I do that for a bunch of folks where my impact, the ripple effect is larger. Now I helped 100,000 people, whether it was me directly or indirectly. So I picked my career for, guys, you got to think, I'm a Black man with a finance degree. Everybody wanted me. I could have worked with anybody, and I chose to pick a vehicle that allowed me to have that ripple effect. So not only that I help people in finance, but I could train and develop others, that I can mentor people. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm huge on that impact thing. Like when I was picking my career, I had a conversation with somebody about this earlier. Because some folks be like, what you want to do with your life? Or what and they don't really know. But how I chose is I said, well, folks will be like, well, what makes you happy? This, that, and third. I ain't do none of that. I don't care about what makes me happy, because what I care about is what is going to give me the result I want. And I'm going to be happy anyway. So when I said, I was like, one, I want high earning potential. I wanted freedom, right? I don't have a problem with authority or nothing like that, but I do prefer to call the shots, and I do want to work. I do prefer working for myself. But I was just like, I want freedom, be able to come and go as I please. I want a higher earning potential, but I also wanted to be a positive impact.
Right.
But a lot of times when we do things that are positive impact, it costs money. You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Then when it comes to things that give you freedom, it usually don't pay much. And things that pay much usually don't give you no freedom. So I was just like, what am I going to do? And when I came across my career field, I was just like, all right, it has the freedom, it has the earning potential, it has the positive impact, and I'm the type of person, I love personal growth. I love learning. I love growing. I'll be 50-year-old still reading books and still working out, trying to better myself. I just believe in that. I feel like life is supposed to be a continuous growth process. It's never supposed to stop growing. And so I was just like, the fact that I never know everything was appealing to me. The fact that I have no cap on my potential was appealing to me. So that's what made me like, this is what I want to do. And don't get me wrong, it came with adversity, because then nobody listened to me at first. Like I butted heads with a lot of my family members because I'm trying to protect them out of love and teach them stuff, and they won't listen. But that's where I had to start growing myself and change. How am I explaining this to people? How am I talking to folks? When a lot of people look outward when something ain't going their way and they say everybody else is the problem. Don't get me wrong, I can make a great argument for that, but it's not going to change nothing for me if I don't change myself. You feel what I'm saying? So I had to start feeling, all right, how do I get this point across to people? Maybe I'm not explaining it right. I got to learn some patience. I got to learn how to read the room better. You know what I'm saying? Read people better. So I just made a lot of personal changes, and I got really great at it. I've actually, my agency has been #1 in the state in like 4 categories every single month this year. And it's not all me. It's like my team in general, but it's kind of like it started with me making some positive changes. And I don't even remember why I started onto that ramble anyway, but me making those positive changes resulted in me being able to, one, help a lot of people and becoming a much better mentor as well. But I'm just rambling now. I don't even know where I was getting at with that.
But man, I mean, like I said, you sharing some great stuff. here tonight, of course. And like I said, we are Facebook Live because we are live streaming. So we encourage everybody to like, share, and comment. You know, get the thumbs, get the hearts up. What we're saying tonight is very, very
feel free
practical.
to ask some questions too, guys. Why y'all got me here? Ask me some financial questions, man.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you some questions. I know we got the inflation, as they say, going on. And as you being in the financial arena, how have you conducted the inflation? Because they're going on, you know, gas prices up, food, everything is going up. Mm-hmm. So as you being, I'm just gonna say it, a financial guru, we're having fun here tonight. Do you take that on as a challenge? Now?
Inflation is something that it's kind of inevitable. It's going to happen. Now, how much inflation is happening is really the result of a lot of things that was happening over the last few years. One, you know, when we had the pandemic and they gave out all that money, you know, now it's a lot of more money in circulation. People are spending more, and that raises prices. You know, it's supply and demand type deal. But then when you also have a situation where interest rates go down, when interest rates go down, it boosts the economy because it's like you have a situation where businesses are borrowing more. They're trying to expand more because they can borrow money for so much cheaper. And then you also have like people were buying houses more because interest rates were down so much. So it boomed the economy quickly. And as a result, you have the cost of living fly up because gas ain't the only thing that went up. Housing prices went up. Yeah, rent went up, right? Yeah. But the reason gas went up too, it's not just a situation where everything else went up. I mean, like the war that happened in Russia affected that because we get oil from Russia. So again, it's a supply and demand thing. So now there's less oil available to the world, which means the price gonna go up, and it's just a ripple effect. But how you combat inflation is what the government is doing, well, not the government, but what's happened is that interest rates have been raised, which that contracts the economy because now it costs more to borrow, which means businesses aren't going to be trying to expand because it costs too much. People are starting to not buy houses as much because it costs them. Like, I'm not going to buy a house, the interest rates are too high. So now that deflates the economy, which is going to kind of get us out of that recession. So them raising interest rates was to try to prevent or at least slow down the recession. They're not going to prevent it, but at least make it not as bad. Because if that inflation keeps on going and going and going, it's going to be a bigger crash. And it's going to be worse than 2008. So it's like it had to happen. But what we do in this moment is, one, I tell everybody, man, get some type of skill that pays well. Then you don't got to worry about it because inflation didn't affect me at all. Right.
I know, right?
Yeah, it did nothing to me. So I didn't even notice gas prices went up until folks started posting on Facebook. And then when I was like, yeah, it did go up. So I didn't even look, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, if we have a valuable skill and we're saving properly, we don't have to worry about that type of little stuff. But the other thing too is investing. Like, the market is down right now. Every time the market goes down like it has recently, the number of millionaires goes up after. Because if you think about it like this, you got when that let's say you get the housing market crash happen, $300,000, you can get them for $100,000 or $150,000. Same thing happens in the stock market. Something worth $200 a share is worth $60 now, you know, or something worth $3,000 a share is worth $1,000 now, you know. So it's just like, what happens is, whenever that market crashes, the people who are knowledgeable buy in. The unknowledgeable, inexperienced people sell. Right now, depending on the situation, you might sell to miss the drop down, because what moves the stock market more than anything is really people's perception. Because the value of a stock has more to do with supply and demand than it does the value of the company, if that makes sense. So Amazon's stock price isn't so high because Amazon is a great company. It's because everybody's buying Amazon stock.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? The stock price fell not because Amazon got in trouble, but because everybody sold the stock out of fear or whatever the case might have been. So when we have this decrease in the stock market, all it is a bunch of people pulling out of their investments, trying to prevent loss, but really they're creating it. Right? So when this happens and everybody else sees this that is knowledgeable, they throw money in. I done invested 30,000 so far this year, and I'm not stopping until this crap go back up. I'm just like, I'm finna rack up because 2020, in 7 months, I turned 20,000 into 90,000.
Wow. Congratulations on that.
Yeah. But again, it's that knowledge thing. I saw the opportunity. Now you go back 10 plus years, I've seen, since I started studying finance, I've seen like 4 large downturns in the market. The first one was that 2008 crash. I knew what was going on because I was going to school for finance. I didn't act on it because I was broke. I remember there was a particular stock, I don't even remember what it was, but it dropped down so far. And I was like, I know this company ain't gonna go out of business. If I put this $400 in here, I already know I'm gonna make some money. And it would have, because I went back and did the math, that $400 would have flipped into like 20 grand. It was that big of a difference. But my car broke and I had to fix it. So I never did invest that money. But I never forgot that opportunity, right? I was just like, well, next time that happens, I'm gonna take advantage. Now, the next time it happened was when Trump did that government shutdown and the economy was going down. I was just like, by definition, a recession is a downturn in the market for 6 consecutive months, right? So he almost put us in a recession by shutting the government down. And I'm just like, ooh, this is an opportunity. And then he shut it, then he stopped it and it went back up, and I missed my opportunity because I procrastinated. Now, the next time it happened was 2020. I was ready that time, and I took advantage. So, and then this time, and I recognized it again, and now I'm even more knowledgeable and experienced than I was before. I'm like, I honestly expect to be a millionaire in the next anywhere from 3 to 7 years.
Okay. Awesome stuff. And like I said, the determination, I mean, your mindset, that's what it's all about, to inspire others that, hey, Rodney got it, I get it too. But as being the man that you are, and you being an entrepreneur, being a businessman, we know entrepreneur is a crazy lifestyle. Y'all kind of like a mad scientist. Y'all always, well, I don't say wondering, but always cooking up stuff in the laboratory. So in your life, how do you start your day? I know a lot of people start their day at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning. How do you start your day? Because we know that time, we got 24 hours in the day. We know that entrepreneurs value time. Y'all do not like your time wasted. So
yeah, it's funny you asked that, and Anna probably chuckled. She ain't even know her looking, but she probably chuckled when you asked that question, because she'll tell you, I do not get up in the morning. I probably get out of bed at 8 o'clock. Like, the whole big reason I wanted to work for myself was so I ain't had to wake up early. Like, I used to work at Austin as an electrician, and I did Air Force, right? And we used to get up at 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I hated that crap. I was like, man, I can't wait to work for myself, just so I had to get up. So that was a huge motivator for me. And I still don't wake up early in the morning, but don't get me wrong, I do grind at times. I'm one of those work smarter, not harder, right? Build a system, have a set of habits that you do all the time so you don't have to think as hard or work as hard. But to be honest, I have times where I don't do nothing for 2 weeks and then I just bust my butt for 2 weeks straight or a week straight. And then I have times where I'm moving all the time. It's just kind of, I can move when I want to move, and I picked a career that allows me that type of freedom and earning potential. But I don't have that much structure to it like that. I might get up in the morning, go run around the neighborhood, get a little workout in, wake my body up, drink some water, take a shower, check my email, just a little random stuff. And then some of my agents call me, hey, can you help me with this? Or a client might call me, hey, can you help me with this? Or I might make a post and or I do seminars for churches, for businesses. Sometimes I'm asked to speak at conferences. But other than that, I just kind of work as needed. I get a phone call, I help who wants me to help. And then sometimes I have certain goals, like I might want to set up a certain amount of investment accounts. I have a goal this year that I want to have 5 million assets under management. So I got to help a lot of people invest. I want to set up a certain amount of investments for kids. And really, I just kind of move until I get what I'm trying to get. But the rest of the time is really just, I spend majority of my time helping other people accomplish their goals. Because there's that quote, Zig Ziglar said, if you help other people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And I get a lot of what I want through helping other people get what they want.
Okay.
So they want to create generational wealth. I got you. You want to be able to get out your job? I got you. You want to be able to make a certain amount of money? Okay, I help teach it to you. And the ones who are genuine in their desire for it and willing to put in that effort and be coachable, I put my attention towards those folks. And everybody else gonna move where they want to move. But in the meantime, I enjoy my life. What I want to do.
And that's what it's all about, enjoying your life. But, and I was just sitting here thinking, there's lots of stuff just going through my head, and I was just sitting here thinking, being a head coach, you got that winning program that bring championships. Yeah. When you talking to your clients, do you present them with this championship system, this proven system, with your clients, like, hey, this is a proven system. I win championships with this system. But now that you developing I'm just thinking some crazy stuff. It ain't crazy, just the crazy stuff. But do you see yourself as being a head coach, having that winning program? Like, hey, this is a winning program. This is a proven program. I win championships off this program. Yeah. So how do you implement that when you're making this presentation with clients?
Well, what I'm real big on is I'll say, let me show you what the problem is that you might not have even known existed, may or may not have. Let me show you how that problem came about. Like, why does that problem exist? And let me show you how I solve it. And let me show you the structure of how that happens. This is what happens if you do it. This is the consequence if you don't. But ultimately, I will, like I said, show sources outside of myself, show them examples, give them proof. There's this saying, somebody said that I know, documentation is better than representation or something like that, where giving you proof is really the key. So I'm just like, I just got to show them that it's real. And at that point, whatever happens is their choice. You know what I mean? So it's like, one thing I learned early in my career, I can't make nobody do nothing, no matter how much I love them, how much I care about them, what I want for their life, they got to choose it. So all I can do is educate, present the facts, and they're going to make their decision, And I also learned I can't save everybody either. I can't save the world. So, and I help those who allow me to, and pray for those who don't.
Right.
Hopefully they'll listen to somebody, or maybe they'll wise up at some point. And sometimes they do. I've had times I talked to somebody and they blew me off for 2 years. And then finally hey man, can you help me with this 401k? Yeah, I got you. I ain't holding no grudges against none of them or none. I care more about them getting taken care of than I care about them blowing me off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's my mindset on that part anyway. But yeah, I do have a system and some structure in how I present it and how I want them to see it. And but like I said, ultimately they make a choice. But more people have that desire than people realize. I've had folks say, man, I don't see how you make it in that line of work. Black people don't want to blah, blah, blah. Yes, they do. 95% of my client base is Black. 95% of my agents are Black. They do want it. They just need the right person to teach it to them, right? And I'm like, shoot, I'm that guy. That's how I feel. You know what I'm saying? So I'll be that person. There's that quote, be the change you want to see in the world.
Right.
I am what I want people to be. You know what I'm saying? I try to be that example, and I just try to help people get what I'm trying to get, where I'm trying to go. I ain't trying to get there by myself, but I will go by myself if I have to, but I don't want to. So I'm just like, I try to pull everybody with me who's willing. That's just what it is.
Man, that's what's up. And other than I want to ask you to this, your agents, you help develop them as well. I know that your agents are part of your team, but you also help them branch out as well. Them setting up shop. How did that process going? Because as you being a head coach, I'm just using a football analogy right now. Yeah. But you being a head coach, you're gonna have your assistant go get head coaching jobs. So how do you prepare them as you being a head coach? Prepare your assistants when they go be head coaches for their own branch.
That's a good question, actually. So one thing is I help them in the process of getting licensed. Like, I teach them, how did I pass my test? What did I do wrong? That's the other thing is this is what more Black people need to be, like parents, grandparents, all this stuff. We got to start telling folks where we messed up. So I tell my agents everything I did wrong. I don't sit there and act like I did everything right. I'm not trying to be above y'all. So I showed them where I messed up. I showed them what I did wrong. And I also showed them, hey, in that process, this is what I learned and what has worked for me. And, you know, as long as they're coachable, they don't go through the same hell I went through in my process. But other thing too is I kind of walk them through, hey, you do this first, then you do this, and then you do this. All right. And I'll kind of do it where I'll do it with them. Then after I do it with them, I'll do it for them first. Then after I do it for them, I'll do it with them. And then after that, I let them do it and I watch. And then after a while, I don't have to do it no more.
Okay.
They can just do it on their own. But before I let anybody do things completely on their own, I do a little bit of vetting. I ask them some questions, make sure they understand X, Y, Z. You know, but in that process of me doing it for them, then doing it with them, and letting them do it, I get to kind of see, are they ready? And I just do that with them until I feel like they don't need me anymore. And also, you know, give them some critiques. Let them ask me questions. I tell my guys, man, call me early, call me late, call me weekends, I don't care. I try to make sure I'm available for them. And then I show them that I got their best interest at heart. You know what I'm saying? I go out my way to make sure that they know they can depend on me if they need me. And so if I got somebody coachable and we got that relationship built, they usually turn out pretty good. Like I've trained 2 people that have become brokers so far. And I probably might have another 3 before the year ends that have become brokers and well on their way to make $100K a year. So I pride myself on trying to, like I said, create more successful entrepreneurs, create financially independent families. I feel like this is my calling that I chose, because some people try to figure out what is my purpose, what's my calling. I feel like I picked this, I chose it. You know, sometimes I tell my team this, sometimes I'm like, you know, folks ask, they'll pray to God, be like, God, is this what you want for me? I ain't do that. I said, God, this is what I want. Will you help me, please? You feel what I'm saying? So I chose my purpose.
Right. And, you know, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's important. You know, a lot of times we are created, you know, God made us, we are created beings. So he gave us that power to create. We are creative beings, and you created what you desire to create in your life. You know, the blueprint, the value of what you wanted. You know what I'm saying? I just believe we don't have to live a mediocre life. Some people choose to live a mediocre life.
Yes.
You know, high achiever, like Nick Saban said, and I'm a big Alabama fan, of course, Nick Saban, Roll Tide. But Nick Saban says, mediocre people don't like high achievers.
High achievers don't like mediocre people.
So the balance that out, the weeding out. As you like, I'm using this football analogy tonight, but as being a head coach and you're speaking to your team, and I know you critique your team. How do you discern between the person who's ready and who's not ready? Because I know a lot of people get so gun-ho. Oh, I can do this thing, but then fall on their face. So how do you discern between the ones that's ready and those who's not ready?
Well, for one, who did what I told them to do? That's the first thing. If I say, hey, did you watch the video I told you to watch? Did you make that list I told you to make? Did you study this? That if you didn't do none of the stuff I asked you to do, I already know you. I'm like, hey, what happens is gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first thing, is did you follow my directions? That's how I be saying from the jump, I'm not finna have a problem, child. Did you follow directions? Now, besides that, are they willing to take some shots on their own? You know what I mean? So somebody jumping out there against my wishes is not all a bad thing. It shows that they already got a little bit of courage. You know, I remember when I was first training Anna, she did a couple of things. I was like, what you did, what? But, you know, she did all right, though, you know, but it's just the fact that she was a self-starter. I don't have to make Anna do stuff, you know what I'm saying? She just kind of does it on her own, you know, and she asks me questions, but it's just like, some seeds are good, some seeds need a little time, you know what I'm saying? But it's like all I can do is water them and provide a good environment and you know, provide the good soil and let it grow into what they choose to go into, you know. But ultimately, sometimes people go through different little stuff. You know, some people gotta make mistakes on their own first. Like I had one of my guys I was training, he'd been working on me for like 4 years. And he was just like, man, thank you for not babying me. Because I let him bump his head a bunch of times. He wasn't as coachable. And so I'm just like, if you like that, I gotta let you bump your head. I gotta let you go through a little bit of hell, because it's not until after they bump their head sometimes that they start being willing to listen.
Right.
And so, you know, I don't ever act no type of way towards nobody that doesn't listen to me. I never close that door on them. My arms are always open to them. But I'm gonna let you go through the hell you gotta go through for you to learn. If you don't, you can learn through my experience or yours. So which one you wanna do? So it's like they're gonna go through it, or they're gonna learn from my experience and not have to go through so much. You still have to go through some. But you know, they choose their process, and I work with them as they, you know, let me.
And also stuff. I know we pressed for time tonight. We had some great convo tonight on here on Facebook Live as well. I know we ready to get off the air tonight. So we just gonna go on walking this way. Impact was podcast. We encourage everybody to drive and comment and get notification on YouTube as well. Also be on Anchor as well as Spotify. So any final remarks you want to leave to the listening audience here tonight?
I didn't hear what you said. Did you ask me something?
I asked you something. I said, do you have any final remarks you want to leave to the listening audience?
Oh, me?
Any final remarks?
I would basically say, man, keep an open mind. I think the second we decide we know everything or we don't need to know is when our life starts to decline or become stagnant. Most people's depression comes from stagnation. And how you combat that type of thing is by growth. You can't grow if you're closed-minded, if you're not trying to move forward in life, if you're not pursuing anything. You need to choose a purpose of value. You need to seek wise counsel and give 100% effort into things, even if you don't see yourself doing it long-term, because full effort induces growth. So, you know, I could say a whole bunch of little stuff, but I guess in pertaining to what we're talking about, I'd say that be the type of person that wants to be a positive impact, make a difference. I feel like God put every person on this planet to help people. That is every person's purpose. And if you're not trying to find a way to do that, I feel like you are not fulfilling your purpose, regardless of the way you choose to fulfill it. You know, because helping people is helping people in any type of way. A nurse is helping people. You know, a social worker is helping people. That's great. Find a way to help people. And if we have enough people doing that, you know, the world gets a little bit of a better place every single time. One of my favorite quotes, Albert Einstein said, the world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who see evil done and do nothing. So when I think about the route I chose, I saw people in a bad position financially. I saw the consequences of being uneducated in money. I saw that a difference could be made in who am I as a man to know better, not do better, and not help others. So I just influenced that, you know, take that mindset on. We should all be trying to do something positive for people. We should all be trying to help folks in some type of way. And the thing that might prevent someone from doing that is maybe some past hurts. Maybe you think that helping others might make you use, but I do want to emphasize this. You know, if you are trying to do positive and help folks, stop looking for your reward from people and look for it through God. God rewards those who serve him, and serving people is serving God. So don't look for your reward from people. It might not come. Look for your reward through God, right? That way it allows you to be forgiven and to continue to help and keep that mindset of you are doing your purpose which is good and positive for people and helping folks. So keep that mindset. And if you do that, there's a reward for that too, because God gives favor to those who do his work, and they get exalted. I am in a great position in life, not because I'm some genius or I'm better than other people, but because I chose a life of service and patience and forgiveness and selflessness or whatever. You know, I'm not a perfect person, but that is what I live by. And that's the purpose I chose. And I think everybody should follow suit in some form or fashion in that manner. But that's all I got for that point.
Awesome stuff. And we thank you once again, Rodney, for hanging out with us here on tonight's podcast. Of course, we thank everybody for watching us on Facebook Live as well. As we live stream here on every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. We want everybody to have a great Tuesday. Enjoy your night. Get some rest. Remember, toast yourself. Look in the mirror. Toast yourself. Tell yourself, tell yourself, I'm happy for you. Tell yourself, I'm here for you. Tell yourself, we're going to make it. Tell yourself, I love you. And most important, tell yourself, I'm awesome. And we want y'all to have a great night. We'll see y'all next Tuesday night here on Walking This Way's Impact for a podcast. Enjoy the week, master the week, conquer the week, and also I'm ready to work out in the morning. So we'll talk to y'all next time. Peace.
Bye.